Before I begin, I'd like to state that this video is not meant to be political in any way. I am reading this just for the fact that it is a scary experience and shows you the horror of what is and what has been going down in the Middle East. I feel the most empathy for the innocent civilians that were born there and have no chance to get somewhere safe. I am grateful every day that I was born here in America and not somewhere where there's always some war or terrorism going on constantly. I just hope we can all be at peace one day, but that will probably never happen. Maybe if we all did shrooms together around the world, then things would be fixed. LOL. Anyways, I hope you can take something away from this story and just learn how to be happy and grateful you get to watch this in the comfort of your own home, probably eating, drawing, and/or sleeping with no worries whatsoever. I don't want to ramble on any longer, so let's just start this. Hello, I'd like to start off this report by saying I live in the Middle East, so excuse any grammar mistakes if there are any. As you might know, there's an ongoing conflict here. For privacy reasons and to not rile up any controversy and criticism, I will not disclose my location, my side of the conflict, and will not include any needless politics with hopes this report will be read for what it's meant to be, a warning. I will only note that I am a civilian and I am not involved in fighting. I have a very low tolerance for weed, even though I am a daily smoker. I can get astronomically high from a single bowl. The first night I smoked one bowl of weed mixed with tobacco after midnight. I also took 10 milligrams pseudoephedrine as a nose and ears decongestant a few hours prior, as I am currently sick. For those who are unaware, pseudoephedrine has a very similar chemical structure to methamphetamine and could be psychoactive and addictive. Long ago, I did the exact same thing and experienced hallucinations and a stronger high than usual, but the overall feeling was great. Stupidly, I thought to myself that it's going to be the same and that I could let my mind drift off from the current events in my region. Boy, was I wrong. Usually after a bowl, I sit down by my PC and watch videos or movies, or listen to music to aid with the drifting away effect I always desire. This time though, confusion and panic hit almost instantly after the bowl, and I went to bed to try and relax. I kept my room dimly lit and closed all doors and windows as to avoid any sounds that might scare me and send me into distress. That attempt was to no avail, unfortunately. I live near a hospital, and as I mentioned before, there's a conflict where I live. Because of that, helicopters kept flying over my house, bringing in more and more wounded people. This is where the scary part starts. I laid on my pillow and put on my headphones to cancel out the noise, but that didn't help. Through the sounds of the aircraft, I heard auditory hallucinations of people speaking, news anchors reporting of a great amount of deaths, screams of horror, rapid ringing noises going up and down in pitch, and random vibrations with no discernible pattern. I started seeing pitch black figures in the corner of my eyes. Sometimes they were of people covered in blood, sometimes of people aiming guns at me. Their faces were distorted, having a devilish appearance. I felt my bed rocking back and forth as I also heard knocking on my doors and windows. I could swear my heart rate was approaching above 200 beats per minute and I thought I was losing my mind. During this time, I was not afraid that I was dying, rather I wished I was dead. I was twitching and moving around my room uncontrollably as I sensed my survival instincts kicking in. I felt like a feral animal in a cage trying to find an escape. This hell continued for what seemed like hours, even though after checking it was only 20 minutes. All of this time, my phone exploded with reports of the ongoing fighting and imagery of war fields, bodies burning, and people running for their lives. This filled my mind, which increased my stress level by 1,000-fold. Sharp pains started appearing all over my body as I imagined being violently stabbed and shot. Also, I feared for some moments that people have infiltrated my house with intentions to kill my family. I wanted to check on them, but feared for my life. This fear caused sharp pain in my head, and black spikes pulsating with red outlines started appearing in my peripheral vision. I felt so hopeless and so weak. I couldn't contact any family members in my home for relief, as I feared they could see I'm high, They are critical of my smoking habits, and my eyes were completely bloodshot. My pupils were so big I couldn't make out my iris in the mirror. Thankfully, I found a friend who was awake and immediately called him. When he answered, words didn't come out of my mouth. I only mumbled and sobbed incoherently. Keep in mind the ringing noises were still loud and clear in my head, and I can barely hear my friend's attempts at calming me down. After what seemed again like hours, I finally calmed down a bit, told my friend good night, and tried to sleep what just happened off. For the following days, I could still hear knocking noises and what seemed like shooting sounds from afar. I could still see figures in my peripheral vision. Unfortunately, this story doesn't end here. Yesterday, I felt more calm, more optimistic about life, and felt hope that this will all end soon. Therefore, I decided to smoke weed again for some stupid reason. Keep in mind I was still taking pseudoephedrine. This time, the high started off way more calmly with a positive tone. I decided to watch a funny movie to cheer myself up and keep my mind off of its worries. I began feeling lightheaded in a good way, slowly drifting away into my own world. Then I had to get up to use the toilet, but when I came back and sat on my chair, I immediately regretted smoking. The sharp pain I felt days prior came back with an intensity I can't describe, mainly focused on my limbs for some reason. There was a feeling of me being sucked into some singularity in the center of my abdomen. My head was crowded with thoughts of anxiety, anguish, and death. A horrifying sensation I felt is that I could hear a very deep-voiced man saying, "Zzz, shh, shh," in my head. Each time I heard those noises, the sharp pains became stronger, and I could feel that my body's sensation was offset more and more from where my body was actually located. I could feel my arm touching the wall, even though I was in my chair meters away. I felt my back touching the cold floor, even though I was fully clothed and on my chair. This entire time I forced my eyes shut, as when I opened them, everything had a dark red hue, which only deepened my visceral fear. This time, all of these sensations were way more intense. Concerns for my physical health were also prevalent this time. My heart rate was easily audible in my ears, and I measured it to be 240 beats per minute at some moments. It was at least 120 beats per minute consistently for 2 hours. I feared for my life, either feeling I could be brutally killed or have a heart attack. I managed to calm down after 3 hours from initially smoking, this time completely on my own, as no friends were available, and family was definitely out of the question as I mentioned before. In conclusion, I could certainly say that in these 2 instances, I felt panic and fear like never before in my life. I would not wish this upon my worst enemy. I still have lasting effects, hearing ringing noises and seeing things that aren't there. I really hope that these are only temporary residual effects that won't last as a permanent memory of my foolish decisions, but only time will tell. The message I want to convey from this story is that when you have anxiety from ongoing events, you should think twice before indulging in mind-altering substances. I can't imagine what I could have went through if I took a psychedelic. Always try to confide in family and friends before doing something which you might regret for the rest of your life. I fear that I might smoke again soon and experience the same horrors, as weed is a coping mechanism for me, and it is also a substance that I rely on for pain management and have some dependence on. My deep condolences go out to anyone affected by the ongoing conflict in my region and any other current deadly world events. Please keep yourself protected and use safe and healthy measures to help with stress. Peace. Could you imagine doing shrooms or like LSD while you're in the middle of this conflict? That just sounds terrifying, and I am just disturbed thinking about it. I hope this guy stays okay, and I don't want anything to happen to him, and all the other innocent civilians out there. My heart goes out to you. Like I said, I don't want to get political here, and I'm not going to. So we're just going to keep it at that, and I just hope you enjoyed the story and possibly learned a lesson from it. I do believe the pseudoephedrine made that weed high way worse, and I have a low tolerance to weed like this guy too, so I can't imagine mixing those two together. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe if you're new, and let me know in the comments what you guys want me to do next. This was a very interesting topic as it is an ongoing conflict now, and it is just ravaging the media. Alright, I hope you all have a good day, and stay safe out there, my friends.